After consulting the service manuals for the Ultra 10 and for the Ultra 60, I decided that I think I want to tackle this one first. I'm gonna try some simple troubleshooting on it, see if I can figure out what the heck's going on with it, and maybe get something working on it. I have ordered and received some NVRAM chips from Amazon. Hopefully they will work. I have a freshly burned Solaris 10 installation DVD that I downloaded directly from Oracle. So I'm ready to go. Before I jump into it and get this show on the road, I did figure out what this goofy little trapdoor is for. There is an exceptionally rare PC MCIA add-on device that connects somewhere into the computer, and the PC MCIA slot is up in the front here. I'm assuming for memory cards or something like that. I can't really envision, like, let's plug a modem or a network card into the front of it. It seems weird. It doesn't seem very useful, and I expect that is why those devices are super rare. So, in the anticipation that this is going to be a bear, let's go ahead and get to it. This was the only machine of the three that would not put an image up on the screen. I did a little bit of research about these, and I've got a couple ideas, but I haven't hooked up the serial console yet. I may get to that. I may get to that yet. But I want to try one other thing first that I didn't even think about before that I should have, and that's, well, one, I want to make sure that everything's reseated properly, because I did take out the CPU, and I don't know, there's probably some other stuff that may have come unseated. I was looking at the service manual for this, and I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but the DIMMs are labeled DIMM 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the memory is in slots 3 and 4. So maybe the memory's in the wrong slots. I don't know. So I'm going to move the memory. I'm going to try reseating things, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to try it first without one of the UPA cards installed, just because this port has the onboard graphics, the Rage Pro, wherever it is over here, right here, has a regular VGA out, and I bought something new that will hopefully make this video better. We'll see if it's going to work out, and I thought that having regular VGA output might make things easier, so I'm gonna check these out. And oh, you know what? I wonder if the NVRAM came and see. Oh, it did crackle a little bit when I pushed on it. Okay, we're just gonna do all the things. I started with this machine because I looked a little bit more at the Ultra 60s, and yes, 2 of the RAM sockets on the Ultra 60s are hiding underneath the power supply. That's also where the NVRAM chip is hiding, is under the power supply. So in order to change the NVRAM chip, I think I have to completely disassemble all of everything, and this has been quite a week, and I was just not in the mood for that. So I'm going to pull this up here so that we can see the keyboard lights. And plug that in. And I'm going to switch views because I have a VGA capture device. It was not a very expensive one. I bought it on Amazon. I don't know. Hopefully it'll work. These output weird modes, so if it works with this, it ought to work with anything. We'll see how it goes. All right, I'm just going to turn it on. Now, I think someone had mentioned in the comments on my other video that I had not pressed the... oh, is that the power? No, it's just the reflection. Okay, I don't see anything coming from the caps lock keys. That I had not pushed the power button, but I think the power button is like stuck on, because as soon as I turn on the switch back here, it comes on. Oh! All right. Well, I think that capture device does not does not like whatever video mode this sun is outputting. But it does say UltraSpark 2i 300 megahertz, 256 megs, 60 nanosecond memory installed, OpenBoot 3.19, and that is, I mean, if you work real hard, you can read that on there. Holy smokes. So will this tell me? Will this tell me what mode I'm in? Okay, so it says that the mode is 1152 by 900 at 66 hertz. And I wonder if this has, if I can select, so I have it set at 1280 by 960, but I think that's just the resolution selection through OBS is just the mode that it's sending to the computer. I think it just does not like the mode that this computer is giving it. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe switcheroo some of this stuff around so that the screen can actually be visible. If you have a recommendation of a VGA USB capture device that will actually work with goofy modes like this, I would love to hear about it. There is not a lot of information about such things that I could find on the internet. All right, let's reconfigure this around, and I will get the NVRAM installed. I'll put a hard drive in here. I'll find an optical drive and see if we can install an operating system. It's been about a week, I think, since I recorded those previous segments. This project has had a lot of setbacks. I've gone through and tested all of the NVRAM chips that I had ordered. I ordered them from some random seller on Amazon. And as someone had warned me in a comment on the previous video, they were new old stock and the batteries fully depleted on them. I checked all 4 of them and they are all 4 completely flat. I, reported that to Amazon and I got my $20 back, which is great because I got my $20 back, but it's not great because I still don't have a working battery. I think I'm going to have to the seller told me not to return these because they came from somewhere in China and they don't want them back. So maybe I'll try the Dremel thing where you erode away part of the case to expose where the battery had connected and connect an external battery. I really don't like that. I don't have a good reason why I don't like it, but I don't like it. But I think I'm going to have to do that. Because as it turns out, the reason that I ordered from Rando on Amazon is DigiKey, Mouser, another electronics seller shop that whose name is escaping me right now online, and even the ST Microelectronics store. They are all out of these chips and any of the compatible chips. Some places have the M48T58, which is by specifications should be compatible, but I have read at least one source that says there's something different about it that makes it not work with these systems. And that person had tried it because they saw, oh, this should be compatible. I'll give it a try. And nope, it had issues. So one of the sites said that maybe in mid-June they'll have some of them. The other bummer is when I had been doing the work on the SparkStation 5 a couple years ago, these chips were like $20 shipped. Now the list price on the places that are all out of them is closer to $27 before shipping. So I have like 5 machines that need these batteries, and I am not super excited about laying down $150 or whatever for batteries for these things. So I don't. The Dremel thing is starting to look a lot more attractive. That's just been the first setback. The second setback, I had downloaded from Oracle Solaris 10 U11, which is the latest version of Solaris 10. It specifically lists the Ultra 10 and the Ultra 60 as compatible platforms. When I try to install, during the installation process, it hits a kernel panic, which in Linux, Unix, BSD, those kinds of things, a kernel panic is roughly analogous to an assertion failure in regular C code or an uncaught exception in C++ or Java. It's bad news. And so that terminated the installation process before it could start. Now, the specific kernel panic that I got from this, I looked up, and I found a source, which I have lost, that says, oh yeah, no, this version fixes that panic, and that panic is caused by some file in, I don't know, some system folder. I don't remember which one. Being larger than 12K. Okay, so that was out. So I then thought, okay, well, I'll get an earlier version. Maybe that'll work. So I got, and it's not labeled, but that is the disk. I downloaded. So this is Solaris 10 U11. I think I got, this is Solaris 10 U8. Which I believe is the last version of Solaris 10 that Sun produced. It's the last one before being acquired by Oracle. That one also fails. It gets to a point after reading the disk for a long time and says something about increasing the inode size to its maximum value. It reads the disk for a while longer. The disk stops spinning, and it just sits there. And I tried with 2 different DVD drives, so I don't think the problem is the optical drive. I mean, I guess it's possible that it was a bad burn of the disk. I don't know. But it didn't work either. So at that point, I'm feeling pretty frustrated. And I decided, all right, well, I'm just going to forget Solaris 10. I'm just going to get Solaris 9, which I could find release images of on CD, put a CD drive in here, that I have been able to get to work. But oh my gosh, what a trail of just annoyance leading to that. So I'm going to put a link in the description of where I got Solaris 9. I have installed this on here once. I got it to work. I have removed the disk, put it in a different machine, completely blanked the whole disk to start over from scratch so that I can show the actual fairly boring process from the start. This machine is very picky about how things are set up in it to get this install to work. This is some important bits. Okay. It expects on the SparkStation 5 and the SparkStation 10 and probably most of the other SCSI-based Spark workstations, maybe the servers, I don't know. They expect the CD-ROM to be SCSI ID 6. So when you say boot CD-ROM, it's going to look at SCSI. That's shorthand for boot from an optical media that happens to be on SCSI ID6. Now on these, you also say boot CD-ROM to boot from the installation media. And, you know, with IDE, there's only so many places a CD could be. There's 4 places it could be. You'd think it could say, oh, look, it's primary slave, or it's secondary master. What? No. It must be the secondary master. So on this machine, it came with one of the ribbon cables on here is, I thought it was labeled. Maybe not. Anyway, there is a ribbon cable that only has one connection on it on this one that is connected to the secondary IDE port. Thine optical drive shalt be there. Or you have to type, I'm sure that there is a way to say boot specifically from this piece of media, but it's a lot of typing. And what you want to do is just say boot CD-ROM. Okay, so connect it there. You know, I tried to connect it thinking, there's the other cable is labeled, the connector that's connected in here is labeled master, it's labeled slave. Thought, all right, I'll do it the way you would do on a PC and have the optical be on the primary IDE interface as the slave, so that you can have a second drive on the other IDE interface. No, Sun says you will not do anything sensible. You will do this thing and you'll like it. So I had some issues with that. For the discs, Solaris 9 and 10, I don't think are very picky. I have an 80 gigabyte disk in here. Solaris 8 has a drive size limit, I want to say 32 gigabytes. And Solaris 7, it's even smaller. It's like 8 point something. It's probably whatever is addressable with 33 bits would be my guess. So it's very picky about these things. But once you get it set up and you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's, the rest of the process is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead. This is actually not, the keyboard and stuff aren't plugged into it because I've been moving around. I'm going to hook all that up. I'm going to reconfigure it around. I have confirmed that the VGA capture device does work when it gets a typical VGA kind of resolution. If you give it 1024 by 768, it is rock solid and perfectly happy. If you give it something unusual or exotic, it loses its ever-loving mind. So I am still on the hunt for a VGA capture solution that will work with more unusual things, because I'm all about the weird stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back to using a camera, probably this camera, just pointed at the monitor so that you can see what I'm doing, and I can walk through this installation process. It's very straightforward. I went through and picked all the defaults, and it's just hurry up and wait. So I'm going to rearrange all the cameras and stuff, and then I'll show how to set up the NVRAM and how to do this install, and I can finally wrap up dealing with this system for now. I'm going to do one more thing with it after I get the Ultra 60s working, but that's going to be, I think I'm going to wait to attempt to do the Ultra 60s until either I've got these chips modified, or I have found a source of new NVRAM chips. The NVRAM chip on this is, I've shown it a couple times before, it's very easily accessible. It's right here. On the Ultra 60s, as far as I can tell, you have to completely disassemble the entire computer, or at the very least, you have to remove the power supply to be able to get at it. And that, I don't want to close up those machines and then open them back up again. I want it to be one and done because it's going to be too much work. Okay. Enough complaining. Let's get to work. All right. Once the system boots up this far, it shouldn't take this long. If it's doing a bunch of things, you may need to press stop and A on the keyboard to get it to knock it off. As you can see, this NVRAM has nothing. Is full of F's. F is for fail. Okay. To reinitialize the NVRAM, and I'm gonna have to look at the cheat sheet. Set defaults. Sets the NVRAM to the default values. It just reinitializes it, and then set env diag switch false. And then you have to program the Ethernet address and the host ID. So you're going to say 8020. And I'm actually going to program this with the MAC address that was originally part of this machine, which is why I didn't just put the original NVRAM in it, is because I was too lazy to write it down. And I've got it right here on the thing. And then so this will be the Ethernet address, and then you have to specify also the host ID, and for that I've just been using, and I think this is what most people do, is just the Ethernet address, and that's MKPL, and then best user interface ever, it is just going to sit there until you hit Control-D, Control-R, because, and it didn't do it. So if it does this, what that indicates is the previously programmed values had a correct checksum, and so it just pats you on the head and says, isn't that cute? And does nothing. So what you have to do is program one of the bytes to be an invalid value. So I'm going to say byte 0, and I'm going to program it to 0, MKP. Okay, so now if I do this again, B, D9, IC, 5B, D9, MKPL, whoops, PL, and do Control-D, Control-R, it just says OK. So now it actually did it. Terrific user interface. Terrific. Now, on the SCSI-based machines, you could say probe SCSI to see all the devices. On the IDE machines, spoiler, you say probe IDE, and it will go through and figure out all the IDE devices. Now you should, at this point, if you've set things up for easy mode, you don't need to do expert mode. We don't need to do, nightmare or ultraviolence. We'll pick hurt me plenty because it will. You should see what you want to be your boot disk be disk 0, probably nothing on the primary slave, the intended CD-ROM drive as device 2, the secondary master, and nothing on the other. So now I should be able to just put in this first disk and get ready for the first bit of hurry up and wait. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, I kept trying to do boot CD-ROM-S. I don't know why that stuck in my brain. The -S you could use in a sort of system rescue mode kind of thing to boot off the disk. The -S means single user mode. If you boot off the CD-ROM into single user mode, it won't start the installer. It will just dump you out at a shell prompt and be like, I don't know what you're doing, kid, and I don't think you do either. One of the other problems with this machine with Solaris 10, which is why I didn't push the Solaris 10 issue any further than I already did, is this has so little RAM in it. It only has 256 megs. It can't run the GUI installer. So you can specify some extra options here to do a text mode installer on Solaris 10. Someday I may yet attempt that, but for now, Solaris 9 is going to be good enough. It is perfectly happy with only 256 megs, and so we can start it running off the CD-ROM, and it is going to just sit and do its thing. And doing its thing will take a very, very, very long time. I am enjoying a grown-up malt beverage while I wait. Now, I think if I had rebooted first, this invalid format code in IDPROM might go away. I don't remember for sure. I went through, I think I tried every possible permutation of everything to finally okay, this is the easy permutation that just works. Okay, so it's and it is going to complain about the date. We'll reset the correct date and time once it gets into Solaris. It is also going to very soon complain that I haven't connected it to a network, and oh my gosh, I can't figure out who I am on the network. It's okay. You'll be okay. So I think I'm going to wander off and refill my beverage, and there will either be some fast forwarding here or a jump cut of some sort to when something actually happens, because it is just a lot of reading off a very slow CD-ROM and taking its sweet time doing it. 2 seconds of interaction, back to waiting. Okay, time for a little bit more. Ooh, that is fairly readable. One thing that's annoying about this is this first little bit of text interaction is up here, super tiny, and then in a minute it's going to be down here, also super tiny. Like, could you make the font a little bit bigger for humans? Like, there's all this. Anyway, would you like to partition the disk? So I'm going to just take the disk defaults. I'm just going to say yes to everything. It's going to want to know what size I want the swap partition to be. And 512 meg sounds fine, and it just wants you to say 512. Start the swap at beginning. Yes. Yes to all the things. Just take the defaults, because I don't know enough about Solaris system administration to know if on this particular machine I should do anything other than the defaults. And in the absence of any other information, the defaults are probably fine. I mean, somebody who knew something about something picked those. I know something about I don't know something about this anything. Anyway, it's now going to take a long time while it is partitioned the disk. It is copying the mini root to the local disk. It's going to sit and think for a long time again. We'll see how long. So if I say network, it's probably going to get angry. And we'll see what it does. Use DHCP, yes. Enable IPv6, no. No. That. Americas, United States. It always feels very weird to use a mouse that doesn't have a scroll wheel. Okay. Set the year. So it's 2024. It is what, May 6. Not that it's going to matter very much. Management. Now, hopefully it won't get too angry about not being plugged into the network right now, and it will just move on. Otherwise, I may have to go ahead and string a network cable up to it to make it calm down. More waiting. See, now it's down here, super freaking tiny. Like what? Like there's all this screen. Reboot automatically after software installation in July. Yes. CD, DVD. Yes. Okay, so now it wants disk number 2. And then, if I remember correctly, it should do a bunch more installing and hurry up and wait. Okay. I'm gonna pick custom install because I think I want to select like development tools and stuff like that. So I don't have the disks for documentation, so I can't pick that. I tried that once and it said, all right, put in documentation disk. No. I don't need that. Oh, I think I was supposed to say none there. Crap. It might get. So I'm going to put in disk 3, the other disk that I have. It might get angry, and then I'll have to just tell it to skip it, which is fine. It is the installer is a little bit forgiving in that respect. Yep. Okay. So I have to go back. So it's going to spit out the disk. I think I can say back and then say none. Oh. Silly thing. Silly me. Silly someone. much disk does it want? Does it want 2 back? I want 2 back. This is the incorrect. Okay. See, if it would tell me which disk it actually wanted in a way that I could understand what it meant, that might be better. Oh my gosh. What? Okay, I've done this before. I've got 3 disks. Like, it has to be one of these. Okay. Someone. Okay. Cool story. Software installed 64 and 32-bit. Yes. And I want to install all of the things because I have plenty of disk space. Just take the one disk that it already set up. Do you want to preserve? No. More waiting. That was it. I had to come back to click the button twice. And I think now is the really long wait while it actually does all the things. Okay. Fine. I won't tell you what to do. So now it should want disk 3. You know what I'm going to say. That's right, I had to click a button. Eventually, it's going to reboot, and when it comes up, we should be in Solaris. And because it has only done a reboot and not done a power cycle, the NVRAM, the VRAM, the volatile RAM, has kept the Ethernet address and the host ID. As soon as the power switch is turned off, that's all gone. Now it's going to complain about the network not being connected, but it should eventually... Yes, the cable that is not plugged in at all is for sure a problem. But it should eventually time out and give up and go about its business. Now it seems like there might still be another step to happen because it didn't ask me what I wanted to name this thing. And it seems like before I named it, but I may not have connected it to the network. Or I may have selected no network that time. I don't remember. It might get really grumpy. I'll give it a couple more retries to see if it decides to give up. Because I don't know that the network cable will reach over there. And also, it's plugged into a different computer, so... One thing I do wonder about, it has OpenBoot 3.19. I wonder if there is a more up-to-date version of the system firmware, and if it's possible to install that. There is a chip. When I was looking at the motherboard, there was a chip. Okay, so it did give up and move on. It kind of gave up and moved on. We'll see what it does. Anyway, there was a chip on the motherboard that looks like a flash RAM, flash memory chip. I don't remember it asking me all of this before. So it seems like it might be possible to update through the operating system, but I'm not sure how that works. I've never done that. What is it doing? Because it did not do this. What is happening? I feel like I'm going through the installation again. Yeah, why is it... I don't understand why we're basically going through the install again. Was that just because of the network? It must have just been because of the network. Okay. So now... Now eventually CDE will start up. Oh, great success. So what I wonder... I can never remember where the terminal is hiding. Console. So we can also run... where did it go? System info. All right. 256 megabytes. Can't ascertain. Okay. This is so annoying. So it shows the information about the system, although it does not show much. You would think that it would show something like the CPU's installed and things like that. Okay. I wonder. Does this have... No. All right. I didn't think that it would. I'm... All right. I didn't think it would have any of that stuff pre-installed. I'm going to have to get source code. Oh, that's another question. Does it have oh, it does have a compiler. Okay. Although I thought I did tell it to do that. Anyway, all right. There will be more steps to get this into a usable system. Now, that's going to be a different video because I think I'm going to sort that out on when I do the install on the Ultra 60, because I'm not really going to want to build software on this. It's a bit on the pokey side, and I expect that how the development system is set up is based on the operating system, not on the underlying hardware. I don't think that's going to matter. Whew. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from these Suns because this has just been, there was so much just software frobbing around and dealing with that was not going to be an interesting video, and a lot of cursing. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break from this. I might not get back to the Suns until July, because in June I have a couple videos planned for GPU June, and I'm going to do one other thing, I think, yet in May. We'll see how things go. I might sneak another bit of the Ultra 60 in May. We'll see. It's also going to depend on whether or not I can get any working NVRAM chips. If you are interested in seeing any of that future content, I highly recommend that you click the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this little mini tutorial of how to just get a bare minimum Solaris 9 installed on an Ultra 10, I would really appreciate if you click the like button. And until next time, try to remember the good stuff.